All right, we're just about all in here. So welcome everybody. If you haven't yet, please mute your microphones. It is okay for you to leave video on, but we do please ask that microphones get muted so that we don't get pings and beeps and dog barks showing up on the video. Please and thank you. Welcome. So my name is Chad Johnson. I'm the studio director, resident instructor at the San Francisco Center for the Book. And we are happy to have you all here today to take a tour of John DeMerritt's studio in Emeryville, California. Now, I won't say much about John. I think most people here know John and know the great work he does there at his studio. But I had the privilege of working across the street from John for many years when I worked at Havila Press. And so it was always great to just run across the street and see what was going on in the bindery and get some board scraps and book cloth samples and whatnot. So we're super excited that you're all here today, and we're super excited to have John. So without further ado, I'm going to stop the share and put John on the main screen. Welcome, everyone.
Hey, everybody. Those of you who don't know, who aren't from the Bay Area, yes, my studio is in Emeryville, California, which is, we like to think it's like the Vatican City of the Bay Area. Little 1 mile square principality at the base of the Bay Bridge. I'm really thrilled to be here. I want to thank Chad Johnson and Sarah Songer for inviting me to the great Shelter in Studio program. I've really enjoyed the ones that have preceded me. Hope I don't get too jiggly or anything. I'm somewhat conversant in all things Zoom, so I'll give it my best shot. I really love the Center for the Book, and I would encourage you to, especially now, do whatever you can to encourage their ongoing flourishing growth. I've been involved in one way or the other with the Center for the Book for since its inception. So let's go. I'm going to show you, I'm going to do 3 things today. I'm going to do a little slideshow and talk about, I'm going to talk about show some images of my work and talk about what I do. And then we'll do a little studio tour of my studio that I'm sitting in right now. Then I'll show you a couple of current projects that I'm working on. All right, let's go. I got like 20 minutes, right, Chad?
That is correct, sir.
All right.
And feel free to, folks, you can chat me questions in the chat window down there. It'll go straight to me, and I'll just keep track of those until the end. And we'll ask John, we'll have a question and answer at the end.
Yeah, fire away. I'll answer anything. Chad, can you make me a co-host?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Memento. Can everybody see my SFCB studio tour screen?
I'm still seeing your Zoom window.
All right. I got this. Here we go. How about that, Chad?
There you go. And go to slideshow mode and you're all good.
Welcome to my world. This is my SFCB is one of my cherished communities. This is my other one, and this is the one where I literally spend about 24 hours a day. This is the 45th Street Artists Cooperative. It's in Emeryville, California. I belong to the corporation that owns this building and one other about halfway down the block. It's a low-income housing for artists. I've had a studio here. There's my super sexy door with candelabras and everything. I've had a studio and lived in this building since 1995. however long that is, 24 years. And this is the place that has, it's all working artists here. It's allowed me to do the kind of work that I do. It's looking very verdant here these days. So it's a very important community to me because we're just sort of, we're materially invested in keeping the building from falling down, as well as we are, collaborating as artists. Within that building, I do I have my bindery, and I live here with my wife Nora, who also has her studio here. And I'm going to show you a few images of the kind of, if you don't know much, I'm a bookbinder, and I sort of focus exclusively on edition work, meaning I do multiples of books, and I make a huge amount of boxes and portfolios. This is a recent edition that we did for the Book Club of California about fine print magazine, fine print, the publication about fine press printing. And this book was designed and printed by DeMerritt in New York. So it's great to work with Russell again. I'll just show you a few images. So I work in a couple of different modes. This is my commission work, is what pays the bills. It foots Talia's college bills and all that stuff. It's a project, so we make editions for fine art printers, galleries, artists, and fine press publishers. It's a project we did for the great photographer Jim Goldberg called Open Sea. Beautiful book we did for the wood engraver Richard Wagner, who was up in Petaluma, really exquisite. This is a great project that we worked on for the photographer Christina Seeley, a series of daguerreotypes. Project we did for Lapis Press in Los Angeles. We do a lot of work with Lapis for the Mexican artist Dr. Lacra. One of my all-time favorite artists, book artists that works exclusively in letterpress, Emily McVarish. I bind all of Emily's books. Undersea by Nowacum Press, published by David Pascoe. Cave Paper made that specialized paper. One of the nice things about it being an edition binder is we can work with vendors that will do like custom dyed and custom runs of materials for us. Richard Tuttle, the great conceptual artist. We did a box project for him with Crown Point Press. That was the inside. Another project that we did with Lapis Press for Stephen Shore. William Wiley, a project that we did with Magnolia Editions, which is another atelier that we collaborate with a lot. This is the favorite part of my commission work, is all the people that I get to work with. Wiley came in, we did about 30 of these, and he came into my studio and he was like, we were talking about materials you want to use, and he was like, just use scraps. Which sounded great at the time, but it was like a bomb blew up in my studio by the time we were done with this. So we were just taking like scraps of leather and sticking them on there. That was the interior. This is a project we did for Ai Weiwei for the Foresight Foundation, when he had that, I don't know if y'all remember that big project he had on Alcatraz a few years ago that was huge portraits of dissidents in Lego format. Another project for Lapis for the Japanese photographer Daido Moriyama. Big project we did a few years ago for David Hockney for a series of drives for these 9-channel videos that he did. I certainly can't, alas, now I am doing everything on my own. I'm sort of stuck here on my own, pros and cons, but back in the party days, I had, not all at the same time, but I had 4 people that have been really instrumental in the work that I do. This is Erin Fong holding that Daido Moriyama essay by Sandra Phillips. Erin's great. She's a letterpress printer. Some of you may know her. She actually lives down the hall now. There's Sienna Valley, who, I don't know if you all are you all into like the headlamp when you make boxes? It's great. I was skeptical at first. Sarah Bryant told me about that. And Sarah Bryant and Katie Baldwin were joshing me about that they use their headlamp when they make boxes, but they were right. I recommend that you try it. There's Andy Rotner, the chopper, who gave a great presentation for this shelter and studio. Andy was one of my main assistants for many, many years. There's my main assistant now. That's Emily Johnson Gow. She's 23 now. She's worked for me since she was 15. So she already has like 8 years of experience. That's why she looks so cool. When I'm not doing my commission work, we do work. My wife and I have a publishing enterprise called DeMerritt Powell's Editions. There's a few of our editions. We decided that, you know, printers and artists and everybody, they all publish, but not that many bookbinders publish books. So we decided to do that. And a lot of what we do is sort of, our publishing program is sort of, we sort of enter these objects sort of via the book object. This is our first publication we did with Clifton Metter. That's an inkjet print on silk that we did at Magnolia Editions. This is a project we did with Sofia Cordoba, who's a multimedia artist and a fine art photographer. This book was called The Infinite Encyclopedia, and we wanted it to seem really real, so we put double facsimile end sheets on there just for the hell of it. The American Bookbinders Museum let us go in and photograph their marbled paper collection. We made our own sort of ersatz marbled paper. Brad Brown, lots of handwork and letterpress. That's a project that I did with my wife Nora, where we sort of both work on this book together. This is a really great project that we're working on that we finished last year with the artist named Tim Schwartz. It's called the Digital Resistance Kit. Series of wax sealed packets. Fletcher will recognize those. But there's also a series of burner phones and tablets. If you want more information about this, I can give you more. I could do a whole presentation about this project. Those of you on the East Coast, if you're near Ian Kahn at Lux Mentis, he'll show you a copy. Some newer projects that are sort of still getting underway. This is a new project we're doing with the photographic artist Marco Breuer. And this is a brand new project that we're just getting started on with a photographer in Minneapolis named Paula McCartney. Surprisingly to me, I've kept quite busy during this whole pandemic times, and I've actually gotten new work. So what I'm going to show you now is work that I've done in the last few months. Some of them were ongoing, but some of them were brand new, which was encouraging to me. This is a series of boxes we just did for this publisher called Historicana, Irvin Ungar. This is a Haggadah that was illustrated by the Polish artist Arthur Schick. Really amazing book. This is a new client that we work with a lot named Ian Van Coller. He's a South African photographer based in Montana, and he does a lot of sort of work that sort of is looking at economic eco disasters and particularly melting glaciers. This is work he did in Antarctica. He's there on a Guggenheim Fellowship. Another big project we just did for Felicia Rice at Moving Parts Press in Santa Cruz called Califas. 6 Latinx artists that did this sort of big collaborative accordion book. And then this is our newest book that we're working on with a very, very old and favorite client of mine named Charles Hobson, 250 Imaginary Waterfalls by Joseph Goldine and Billy Collins. So that's my slideshow. That's what we're doing. And I'm going to just give you a quick little zip around the studio, and then I'll show you some ongoing projects. My whole studio is set up to do edition work. It's, sorry about the wobbles. So I got about 800 square feet. It's chock-a-block. I make kind of serene work, but I'm not, I'm a little bit of a chaotic person. I try and keep it under control. I got 3 areas in my shop. One area is for chopping. This is where I do all my chopping. This is a really luxurious, I would say even decadent sort of thing that I have in my studios. I own 2 board cutters. It's really great. And I have one that I primarily use. This is a Hickok board shear. This one I use primarily for cutting boards because it's very accurate. And then I have this is my big Jacques board cutter that, that I can use. It's got a big 54-inch blade, so I can use it. I can cut a whole bolt of 52-inch material on that. When I did that David Hockney job, I had to cut so much cloth that I was like, it sort of justified me buying the whole cutter. That was great. Some of you, a lot of you know that I'm really obsessed with Kensal foil stampers. I have way more than I need. Again, it's sort of decadent luxury, but it actually does serve a purpose. Especially when I'm doing sort of multiple sort of impressions on a job, or if I have a couple jobs that I need to leave the setup on the press up for a long time, I can do that. So that's my printing area. And then this is the, sorry about the wobbles again. This is the area where I smash stuff. So these are all my book presses. I've got 2 Hickok standing presses. And then I've got a couple more, you see that? A couple more of larger sort of nipping presses. This one's really interesting. You know, what I love about all this equipment is it all has kind of a provenance. Like this press actually belonged to a very well-known WPA era artist in California named Emmylou Packard. I don't know if you all know her print. She made a lot of woodcuts of like logging camps in Mendocino. So this belonged to her, and she passed it on to a student, and it came to me via him. This press is a really super robust one. We use it, you can like damage books with this thing. It's so robust. We use this mostly for laminating. I do a lot of board lamination with that. Job backer. And the rest is just table. And you know, that's really about, we're really kind of set up like I'm just going to change one thing here. We're really kind of set up to do, I sometimes think everything I do is like super 19th century, but I'm actually not really set up. I don't really even own anything with a motor on it, or it's all like really simple, straightforward cast iron equipment. And then these, my hands, and I have 2 big work tables. Here's a hint for all of you. Don't use white Formica on your work tables. Use black. It's better, I think. I'm going to show you a couple of ongoing projects, and just to sort of maybe give you an idea in the few minutes that we have left of how my sort of editioning process works, because it's very unique to bookbinding. I think it's a little different than the way maybe a fine binder or a conservator might work. About when we work on an edition, about 35% of the time that we do work on the edition goes into prototyping and design, which is what I'm doing a lot right this week. This is a beautiful project I'm working on with the photographer Terry Turrentine, who's here with us today. Hi, Terry. This is a book she's done about falconry, and Terry is an amazing, I've worked on many projects with her, amazing photographer of birds. So she's photographed these falcons, a lot of them with these incredible hoods. And it's a little hard to see, but there's this very, very faint letterpress text of a Rilke poem on there. It's a really strong feminist piece. And so we're making this very long accordion book out of it. I'll just show you a few of the spreads. They're very compelling. These were all inkjet prints that were done by Electric Works in San Francisco. So there's about 14 spreads in this book. The whole book's about 10 by 14 and a half. So let me just get this out of the way. When we work on a book like that, I'm going to speed it up a little bit because my time just ran out. Of course, I tend to be a little over exuberant. We have to start out with pages like this. They come to us like this. We have to back them with this paper called Color Plan. And then I don't know if you can see the letterpress printing on there. There it is. That was all done by Dina Pollock over at Peter Koch's studio. So what I'm doing now is I'm making a whole series, and I'm working on the box today. So the book's will go in this box, and it's gonna have this beautiful cover on it of this red goat skin that we had dyed for us by Pergamena, a tannery that makes great leather in the Hudson Valley in New York. So that's the nice thing about, and so this beautiful, so we sent them some images, and then we had them dye this leather to sync up with some of the graphics in the book. We're gonna print it with this embossing dye on my beautiful Kensal printer. So what I'm doing now is I'm making a whole series of templates and guides so that we're going to make 13 of these books. So now I can go back. What I'm doing now is making a whole I'm making a a series of guides so that I can go in and do I can do really tight on the bottle editioning of this so everything comes out the same. And then just one more book, then I'll stop. This is the new book that we're working on with our old friend Charles Hobson. And this is an interesting book because he's sort of collaborated. Usually his books, if you're familiar with them, it's usually his artwork and he usually, a lot of times he'll use a piece of written text. This is a book that he's doing with a really well-known Bay Area artist named Joseph Goldine. It's 250 imaginary waterfalls. So you can see those. So Hobson has sort of taken those, and they're drawn in a grid. So with a poem by Billy Collins, or I think he was poet laureate at one point, wasn't he? So he's designed this text block, which I'm not making the text block, but it's got this sort of laser cut piece of paper that you can put over the grid and isolate these waterfalls. And that can rotate, so you can sort of isolate, and it changes your perception of these things. So we've been tasked with, so now we're in the middle of, we're going to make the covers for it out of this white Japanese book cloth we get from Hiromi paper in Los Angeles. And then we're going to make a clamshell box for it as well. So we're making 35 of these. So, and I'm working on all these templates and stuff for that. So what I'm trying to do, the sort of new mode of sort of working that I'm trying now, is the reason I'm focusing so hard on all these templates is so that I can hand them out. My assistant Emily is working remotely now, which is a new thing that we're trying. So I made her dad build her a workbench at her house, so I can hand over a lot of this work now that she can edition remotely. And I've never done anything like that, so I'm interested to try. I'm ready for your questions. Chad wants to.
Well, thank you very much, John. That was awesome. And I've got a bunch of questions lined up, but if anybody has more questions, feel free to post them in the chat room now. First question was from Jenny. Who shoots your pictures?
Oh, those images of the first ones I shot were shot by these two really great, a guy named Eric Ruby and a photographer named Emily Baresi. They're both Jim Goldberg's studio assistants. I can put you in touch with them if you're interested. They do really, and they did it all in my studio. They put a copy stand in, so that it made it really straightforward.
Nice. And then I think I think you answered the question about the accordion book, how you assembled those pages.
Yeah.
Colleen wants to know why the black Formica is better.
Who wants to know that?
Colleen.
Colleen Curry. Mm-hmm. Because you can see it's like having a black car, and you know when you have a black car, you can see how dirty it is way more than a white car. It's like when you have a black table, you can see all the crap that's on it so that it doesn't mess up your books. Plus, it doesn't reflect as much in your face.
And Sarah had a question that I also wondered. No glue machine, no pot, Devin?
Nope.
Just a big old brush and forearm strength?
This is my glue machine.
There it is.
Foam Pro 4-inch paint roller and PVA in a paint tray.
That's where it's at.
I do everything with that. And brushes, of course. But yeah, I think a glue machine, you either need to keep it running all the time. I don't do the level of production I do. I've certainly worked in binderies that had those things, but you need to keep those things running all the time. Otherwise, you're just cleaning it all the time.
Right. Sarah asks, could you tell us more about the Ai Weiwei project?
That was, I don't know. So it was a fundraising project to help raise funds for that big project he did on Alcatraz, which was, I think they got Lego to donate 2 million pieces of Lego, and Ai Weiwei and many, many assistants assembled all these Lego portraits of dissidents from all over the world. And so we made these square boxes that held a sort of a portrait. I can't remember, I think it was maybe of Snowden. And we made 35 of them. It was a fundraising thing. It was fun because we had to work all in Lego. It's, you can go on Lego's website and, the way that they standardize their measurements was really interesting. So we formatted the box that way too.
Nice. I think Burton asks, where do you procure the cover board from? Is it paperboard or wood chip?
Oh, I use a few different kinds of board. I use, this is, I don't know if I have oh yeah, here's one. This is the board that I probably use the most. It's called Eska. It's a Dutch product. We get it from Gain Brothers. I think they call it Gain cover board, but it's made in Holland, and it's very clean. I don't know. I don't really use Davy board anymore because their consistency was really bad for a while, so I stopped buying it. Eska it's a little soft and it's very light, but we laminate. We do a huge amount of lamination with Eska. I'm really into laminating stuff together. And then if I want something more high quality and rigid, we use this green board from Conservation by Design, which I'm sure a lot of you binders use.
Great, thank you.
It's really good. This stuff's good.
Olina was curious, does your studio name appear on the books? If so, and in what format and what does it say?
Generally, we always, whenever we work on something, if it's a book, I kind of demand to be put in the colophon of the book. And it's usually John DeMerritt book, bound by John DeMerritt Bookbinding, Emeryville, CA. Or if it's for like a fine art sort of deal where they don't really do colophons and stuff, I usually request strongly that they put me in the documentation that comes with the work, because I think it's really important to be credited for the work that you do. Otherwise, somebody's going to think that somebody else did it.
Right.
Sometimes I get copies of stuff. It depends. In the book world, usually you get like a participant copy of books. That's not always true. Like David Hockney didn't give me a copy of that project.
Patricia was curious how you adhere the photos to the color plan.
Patricia Tracy wants to know that.
Patricia Owen wants to know.
Oh, Patty Owen wants to know that. I use copious amounts of this stuff. Copious amounts of positional PMA, positionable mounting adhesive. Do you all use that? Pros and cons. When I can, I use the water-based adhesives that I use all the time, like PVA, wheat starch paste, hide glue, methyl cellulose. But like in this case, it had to be really flat, which would be really hard to do with a water-based adhesive. So we use this stuff, PMA, and it's an interesting stuff. It has a sort of, the adhesive's laid down in sort of capsule, micro capillary form, so that you can move it around. It has a low tack. You can move it around, and then once it's where you want it to be, you burnish it with more pressure, and the capillaries sort of burst, and it becomes more permanent.
Nice.
Hugely wasteful in terms of, it all comes on this weird backing that just goes to the landfill. Problematic. But, that book that I showed you, Caliphas, that we did for Felicia Rice, we had to back all the back of those accordions too with the PMA as well. Expensive.
All right. Well, thank you so much, John. I think we're out of time here, but if folks have more questions, can they email you?
Of course.
Where do they email you?
John DeMerritt, spelled like my name, @ sbcglobal.net.
All right.
And if you can't remember, just get in touch with Chad. He'll put you in touch.
There you go. All right. Well, thank you so much for coming, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this shelter in studio today, and we look forward to seeing you next week.